If you would, turn in your Bibles to Luke, the 19th chapter. Luke chapter 19. Prior to this, in Luke chapter 19, Jesus is he's headed to Jerusalem. He'll be in Jerusalem in not Jerusalem, but Jericho in Luke chapter 19. But in Luke chapter 18, Jesus is headed to Jericho, and there's a blind man on the side of the road. He's begging, and he finds out from the people what the commotion is all about, who's coming, and they said it's Jesus, the son of David. And so he cried out and said, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." And later on, down in verse 41 of chapter 18, it says, "What do you want me to do to you?" He said, "Lord, that I may receive my sight." Then Jesus said to him, "Receive your sight, your faith has made you well." And then as he's going on into Jericho, we read the story about Zacchaeus. Starting with chapter 19, verse 1, "Then Jesus entered and passed through Jericho. Now behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus who was a chief tax collector, and he was rich. And he sought to see who Jesus was, but could not because of the crowd, for he was of short stature. So he ran ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was going to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said to him, 'Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must stay at your house.' So he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. But when they saw it, they all complained, saying, 'He has gone to be a guest with a man who is a sinner.' Then Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, 'Look, Lord, I give half of my goods to the poor, and if I've taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold.' And Jesus said to him, 'Today salvation has come to this house, because he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost.'" So Zacchaeus was a tax collector in a wealthy city. And when there's a lot of wealth in that city, that means a lot of taxes are going to be collected. So Zacchaeus was taking a lot of money from these folks, and tax collectors were looked on as evil because they were taking money that they shouldn't take. And not only was Zacchaeus a tax collector, he was the chief tax collector. So to the people, he was the worst of the worst. He was the chief of all sinners in their eyes. And when the people saw that Jesus was going home with this chief of all sinners, they all complained. They didn't think Jesus should be associating with such people. But we realize that there are many times when Jesus associated with people like that, because in previous scriptures, we read that Jesus was eating with the Pharisees. He was eating with the tax collectors. He chose Matthew, one of the tax collectors, to be one of his disciples. But reading these first 10 verses of chapter 19, I picked out several lessons that we could learn just from these few verses. First of all, the world still needs to see Jesus. Zacchaeus climbed up in that tree just to see Jesus, but today Jesus needs to be seen everywhere that we go. We all need to be the Jesus that others see. In Matthew 5:13 through 16, Jesus says, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing, to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." We're going to be an influence to people that are around us every day, and we need to be a good influence. Second lesson that I have is that Jesus needs to be present in our homes. Jesus went home with Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus saw that he needed to change his life. He went from taking money from his friends he changed his life around, and he was now giving. In Ephesians, we read about the family. In Ephesians 6:4, Paul tells tells fathers, bring up your children in the training and admonition of the Lord. So Christ must be present in our homes today, and he must be taught to our children. The third lesson, which is in verse 10, said that Jesus came to seek and save those that are lost. Even though Zacchaeus climbed up in the tree so he could see Jesus, Jesus was already searching for him because he was seeking those that were lost. In John 14:6, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. Tonight we're going to sing an invitation song, and if your life needs to be changed, if you need to have Jesus in your life, if Jesus cannot be seen through you, maybe you need to change your life. We're going to sing that invitation song now, and if you need the prayers of the congregation or any help from any of us, just come forward as we stand and sing.